This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Angelique Beauregard. Ooh, can you say it? Let me hear you say it, please.
Well, if you want to hear it in English, you can call me Angelique Beauregard. And if you want to go a little bit spicy, you can go French. You go Angelique Beauregard.
Ooh, Angelique Beauregard. Oh, that sounds great. It sounded great. Well, how are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
Well, fortunately, I'm indoors because outside up here in Canada, it feels like minus 33 Celsius. So it's kind of nice. I got my candles going. I got the fireplace. I'm good.
All right. Well, do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history.
Well, we met through my writing coach, so that would put me as an author, but I don't really consider that being my main talent for connecting with you. I find my talent more about listening and keeping myself open to opportunities and adventure and new perspectives. And Elizabeth, by connecting with her and so many other people, got me connected with you.
Elizabeth is amazing, I'll tell you. I just got completing her book, No Small Potatoes, right? And
Yes.
oh my. That took me for a run because I was like, okay, how much could you need to know about potatoes? And then there was a ton of content in there, and she has a great writing style for communicating that. So I think she should make a good coaching author, if I think so as well. How has she been thus far?
She's been doing really well, actually. She started some meetup groups now. She's getting herself out there. She's actually helping people write their story and include their story in their marketing messages. I think she's doing really well. I have coffee with her from time to time.
That's wonderful. Now, telling me more about you, right, and telling me about AB Transformations Incorporated, please.
Oh, it's funny because AB means a lot to me. So my AB, of course, are my initials, Angelique Beauregard. I also have a family school bus business that I've been with my family business for over 25 years now. We have over 58 school buses in the area. We serve over 30 schools, and that is Autobus Beauregard. So there's another AB right there. My kids are Amanda and Brittany, so go figure.
Wow.
So that's really where the transformation comes from in the past 3 years, and that's kind of what my book is about. It's called A Second Coming of Age: The Road to Becoming a Healthy, Wealthy, Modern Golden Girl. And it's the story of how I got onto this health path and the weight loss path when my mom almost died 3 years ago. Actually, it was 4 years ago now. It goes so fast. From her complications. She had surgery, and because of the complications of her obesity, she almost died. She was in a coma for 4 days, and she was in the hospital for over a month. It was really scary. And so I got really serious about my health. I did a lot of research, read books, and ended up in a certification program for health coaching. I lost 50 pounds in my first year of menopause, and that's what my book is about, is how I went through that thing with my mom and how I came to be a health coach and how I lost my 50 pounds. So people, especially in their midlife, where there's a lot of things changing, the menopause and all that good stuff, it's really a book to help those women out, just to show them that there's a path and there's so many things that they could do, and they can get healthy and they can get thinner and they can have the life they want.
Yeah, the passion, which brings me to, I've seen your pictures and they're all in red, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing there's some type of connection to the passion you help others with and the colors that you're wearing to portray who you are. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Very much so. And my husband's a fireman. So red is a big thing in our house.
And then it's you're Canadian, right? So
I'm Canadian, yeah.
Red is then another big thing again, yeah?
Yeah, and for me, red is a really powerful color. It's a symbol of boldness and self-confidence and self-esteem. For me, it's a really important color to put out there for my brand.
Yeah, well, It definitely suits you well, I think. It definitely pops, like when I looked at it, as well as your eyes. Your eyes seem to look really, really deep. I was like, who's this photographer who took this picture and captured your eyes the way they did? So everything you've spoken of speaks speaks of someone who is determined, someone that decides and goes after the thing they believe is beneficial of them. You know, you losing weight through what your mother experienced, you writing a book, right? You
Yeah.
being a businesswoman. Why will you continue to repeat those skills, Angelique?
Why would I continue? It makes me happy, you know? Being in business, and actually I graduated in Concordia University in marketing, and marketing today is so very different. To go into something new like health coaching and to be able to share what I've learned with other people, it's a really amazing thing. Instead of sitting in an office looking out at the mountains and everything, because I have a beautiful view from my office, and I often found myself looking out those windows and saying, oh my goodness, there's just so much more out there. And here I'm doing all this administrative stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'm really, really grateful for my family business. It's given me that cushion and that financial security to be able to go and pursue something bigger. But I knew there was more out there, and every time I think, sometimes, it does get hard sometimes, starting a new business. And every time I think, oh, if I just quit, I could just go back to what I was doing. It's just so much easier. And then I think, no, like there's so many more connections I want to make. Ever since I started this business, I met some amazing people. For my book, I interviewed Dr. Joel Furman. I interviewed Ocean Robbins and Susan Pierce Thompson and Dr. Jade Tita, and so many interesting people. Had I not started on this quest, I never, ever would have had the opportunity to meet them otherwise.
How does it make you feel looking back from now to then? How does it make you feel seeing what you've done?
I feel really proud, and I feel like I'm finally using the God-given talents I have, that I can use everything that I've built up in myself, not just since I was born, but all the skill sets and everything, all the learning, and I'm actually being able to do something with it and actually interact with people and use some social skills. I'm a really good listener, and I like that really helps create connection with people. I think that's really important, and it makes me feel good,
What would you suggest to someone not listening? That person who has had that experience as well, right? Where they're doing things that definitely pay the bills, but there's something else that's calling them. Why would you even suggest that they even possibly look at the idea or taking a bit of more action to doing that particular thing?
Because there's so much more out there. We see stuff on the news, things on the news about everything that's going bad in the world, but there's so much good in the world. And when you get yourself out there, when you explore new things and you learn, like you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not growing and learning, what's the point? It's great to have money, but when you determine what your purpose is. I mean, life purpose for me is not really something that you discover. I think it's something that you decide for yourself what you want it to be. And the more you open yourself up to books and programs and podcasts like this, the more your world opens up and the more life satisfaction you have. So yeah, I would tell everyone out there, you have a dream, pursue it. Never mind when you were young and you wanted to paint and your parents said it was a waste of time, you wouldn't make any money or anything like that. You have a passion. There was things that you loved to do growing up. Explore those. Go back to those things and, see what happens. And even, picking up a new instrument, it increases the number of nerves in the brain and the connections, and it makes you smarter,
Go for it.
Go for it. I mean, try. What's the worst can happen? You fail. Failure is not a failure. For me, it's just another way of not doing it that way. It's research. Everything is research.
Love it. Angelique Beauregard. Well, hey, tell us where's the best place for people that are listening to connect with you.
Well, you can come to angeliquebeauregard.com. Of course, AngeliqueBeauregard.com. And I have a little challenge that's going to be starting the 28th of January. If people hear of that before this, they can go to my website there and sign up for that. That's going to be posted there soon.
Yeah, sounds great. All right, Angelique, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Angelique, what is your earliest childhood memory?
That's one of those funny things. I think I remember sitting in a baby seat next to the sink while my mother's doing dishes. But then I'm not sure if that's quite true because it might have been an old picture. But I every time someone asks me that question, that's usually what comes up for me.
Interesting. So, how old do you think you were?
Well, I figured if I was in a chair on the sink, I would assume I was maybe, I don't know, a year, a couple months.
Do you remember any songs while sitting there?
Oh, songs.
Anything that you're sitting there, even if it's the songs of the water flowing or the dishes making noises. Do you remember anything like that while sitting there?
I'm sure my mother sang to me. I have this, I don't know, weird feeling that maybe she sang This Little Piggy and Play With My Toes.
Intriguing. All right. Why do you think this memory is so clear?
Why it would be so clear? I don't know, because I was with my mom and she was smiling at me and multitasking. I don't know, maybe the fact that she was there. I don't
know. How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
To who I am today? That's a good question. I should have gone with a different memory.
No, you're good.
Yeah, because the other memory I have is those old walkers used to have that are banned today. I remember being in that walker that you actually had to walk with your feet, and I remember. And if you were to ask me about that memory, I would say that was my first taste of freedom.
All right. Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind with that memory?
Oh, please do.
So this is going out on a limb here, right? But to see your mother doing something that may have seemed as a traditional thing and see you being that child that was looking at that and then translating into you being in the family business and doing the dishes, if you would, metaphorically speaking here, I find it pretty intriguing to see you decide that you want to do something that you've thought about that fuels who you are. And not being the person that you looked at in that kitchen washing dishes or wherever she was washing dishes. So, yeah, that's my interpretation of that thought picture.
Interesting. I'll have to remember that for if ever it comes up in the subject again.
Sure. If you fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
When I was 12, I remember I was in love with Bryan Adams. When I was 12 years old, I was just starting high school, and the summer of '69, that was my song because that's when I was born. I'm not sure if I was 12 or 13, maybe it was around then, but anything Bryan Adams. Heaven, my friends called me Angel, and Heaven I always thought that he was singing to me.
Love it. All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination, Angelique. But before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
Oh, boy. Okay, go.
Have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
No.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Never.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer, more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Probably more than 8.
If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Angelique Beauregard, what would you say that is?
Well, my motto is live the life you want in a body you love.
I love it. Well, Angelique, again, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Just, you know what? Follow your dreams. Just go for it. You want to go and do something different. You want to just be yourself and go. Especially if you're a midlife woman like me, now's your time. Do it. Do it.
Love it. Angelique, again, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.